Hi, friends, and welcome to the Dreamer and Doer podcast. I'm your host, Bree Johnson. I designed this space to be a place that we can discuss dreaming big despite the setbacks and fears that come with it. I invite you to come along this journey with me as we embrace our stories and share our journeys. So let's dream big together and get intentional about making it happen. Hey guys, welcome back to the Dreamer and Doer podcast. I have had so much fun lately just getting to interview people and have these conversations about business and life, and I'm so excited to be bringing you someone I have followed on Instagram for many months now, and I just think she has an incredible business and product, and that is my friend Britney from Flying Cow Tallow. So welcome,
Hello.
Britney.
Hey, thank you, Brianne, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I too. It's like, I love getting to interview people that I've met on Instagram and just kind of that world. It's always so bizarre. And then we talk and it's like, hey, I feel like I've kind of known you for ever. I don't know. It's so weird, but I love it.
It makes our world seem a little smaller.
So I want to tell my listeners a little bit about how I found you and your product, because it's kind of a fun story. I went to a retreat that a friend that I met on Instagram was hosting at her house. I had never met her in person. She just invited me to come. And I think last minute I was like, okay, let's do this. And so I drove 2 hours to her house in Houston and had the most incredible weekend. For me, that was the weekend that I really felt like our business was going to flourish this year. And I always talk about how I had this kind of like word that I felt like God was telling me to let go and just like give it to him, and that he would provide more for my business than I could imagine. And that came at her retreat. But you provided samples of your product in like a little fun swag bag for everyone. And it actually sat on my bedside for several months before I was like, what is this? Because I'm sure, what is the reaction when people hear cow tallow?
Well, I've had people eat it.
Oh my gosh.
One person said, is this edible? And I said, well, yeah. So I've had people eat it. I've had people be angry. I respect, all that, if you don't want to use animal products. I've had people like, ew, but then I show them before and after pictures, and usually that's when they're like, I don't care what it is, let me put it on my face.
Yeah, so I had looked at your Instagram and I was like, we had moved, and it was just one of those times where I was like out of like facial product and I didn't really want to buy anything, so I was like, what samples do I have? So I started trying that, and then, which we'll talk more about what it is, and started posting like Instagram stories, and people would be like, Brianne, you're glowing. Waco looks so good on you. And I swear like my skin looked the best it ever has in my whole life.
Wow.
So yeah, I was totally blown away that it would, I don't know, work, I guess. You're just like, what?
It's
so
very simple
out there, but simple. And yeah, it really works. So that's kind of my story with how I've met you, or got to know you through the World Wide Web. So why don't you tell my listeners a little bit more about yourself?
Yes. My name is Britney Arceneaux, and I'm 30 years old. I started making tallow when I was 28, but I guess we can get into that later. I have 5 little kiddos.
Wow.
My littlest, I have 3 girls and 2 boys. My littlest is 1.5, almost 1.5.
Oh my gosh.
She's stuck at like 6 months, though. I'm
know.
not allowing you to get any bigger than that. And my oldest is about to be 9, and there's a bunch of little ones mixed in between there. And me and my husband, I met my husband when I was actually 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was on my way to a slumber party with my friend, and her older brother had some friends over. There was like and they were just playing music. And once I started get to be about like 16 or something like that, we got really close and got to be friends, and we got married before I graduated high school. I was 18.
Wow.
Yes, I had
Oh my gosh.
I know, and it's kind of funny. We were engaged for about 3 months, and I got married just in time to get my diploma. changed from an M to an A. So it was like the fourth person to cross the stage, but I absolutely had no shadow of a doubt that he was supposed to be my husband, and it's been a crazy, wild journey. And about 4 years into marrying, we decided to start to have a family. We knew we wanted to have a big family, and I didn't want to spread it out, so we just had babies for 4 years, took a break, and then had one more.
Wow, that's awesome. We got engaged when I was 18 and married.
There you go.
10 days after I turned 20. If you're listening and you're engaged, I highly suggest not to have a long engagement.
Amen.
It is the worst.
I thought 3 months was forever. I don't know how people do years.
It was like a
and
year
years.
and 3 months, I think, and it was terrible.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
But I had this like weird thing in my mind that if our kids asked to get married when they were like 18, that I would have to say too, yes. Girl. Because I did. And so I was like, let's at least be 20 so I can tell them that you can't get married when you're a teenager. But who knows? You never know. My mom was always like, I knew he was going to be your husband, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
That's the way my mom was too. She's like, why have you waited for so long? I was like, I don't know.
You're like, I had to wait till it was legal.
Yes. Yeah, we had a very long separation. Like, okay, I'm too young. Let's wait. So,
and I feel like meeting him at like your friend's slumber parties, straight out of a movie.
Yes, it was so silly, and yeah, it's surreal. And I guess
I know. So how many years
13.
did you say?
Almost 13.
Wow,
In April will be 13. I guess we just had our 12th, so 12 in a couple months. Yeah. It's crazy.
So what have you been up to with these 12 years? I guess more specifically in the last couple years with starting a business.
Yes. Well, this is definitely not the first business we've started. This is our ninth.
Your ninth business?
Yes.
Okay, I like it.
And a lot of failures.
Yeah.
A lot of more failures than successes. And yeah, we've done stuff in nutrition, and he had a landscaping company, and he would design landscaping for about 7 years, and he was successful in that. And now he has his own he's more targeting oil and gas, and this is kind of like my baby that he's kind of jumped onto. So it's kind of been interesting to see, like, we've done stuff together, or he's done stuff and I've been, let's go, and I push. And this time he's kind of seen me drowning in the success. You know, whenever you get too much success, you're like, I can't handle this. And he's kind of stepped in and said, I want you to succeed in this. So he says lately, you know, I work more for my wife than I do myself.
Oh, that's a good husband, though.
He is for sure.
I'm glad that you touched on having multiple businesses, because I think when people are like just starting out and they want to start a business, they feel like it has to be perfect and it has to succeed. And I think more for women than men that we feel that pressure even more. And so when we fail, it can be like really devastating, and we don't want to like try again.
Absolutely.
And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think it's perfect proof to show that it takes trial and error, and that things may happen and you might fail, but that doesn't mean you're going to be in the failure forever.
Yes. 5 of those were mine.
Really?
5 of those
I want to know
mine.
what they were.
Okay, so I sold 2 of them were nutritional, like pyramid type things, but like very early on, nobody knew about them, and they kind of didn't work out. So those were 2 of them. I sold jewelry from this artist from Paris. Her name was Catherine Popesco. She still sells it. I still have like a couple pieces. Like, it's awesome vintage jewelry from like 200-year-old stampings. Anyways, I could go off on a tangent. Good Lord, what else? We had a water purifying product that we have.
Interesting.
Probably $10,000 in products still in our garage that we bought from China. What else?
Water purification is one of my husband's like jams, because we used to live in the Amazon.
Oh my gosh.
And so we had some of the things we did were involved putting in like water filtration systems in different villages, and then just for us being able to drink clean water.
Yes.
So we use
I
a
have
Berkey.
some stuff for you in my garage that will kill E. coli in water.
You should just send it to the Amazon.
We should, and that's what they've used it for. They'll pour it into lakes, and it will totally kill the any inorganic. Anyways, I can start. We're gonna raise that one from the dead and start that business.
I love it.
That's so cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, we have. Cool. It's been 4 years since we've lived there, so it doesn't get brought up as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so now what are you doing?
So now I'm doing Flying Cow, and that is my tallow company, and I make handmade tallow balms. And you can use them on your face and your body. It has done some amazing things for some of my clients, from psoriasis to alopecia, eczema, cellulite, acne. Oh my gosh. I get a new testimony each week.
And I will upload my before and after to the show notes too, so people can see mine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, just getting that, like, I love your before and after, the glow that you had on your skin. It's
the glow that's there. I'm like, I've never had anything like that. Yes. But you have to say, I know everyone's asking, what is cow tallow?
Okay, so tallow, it's going to sound really crazy, but go look at those before and after pictures before you turn off the podcast.
Before you make a decision.
Yes. So tallow is slowly rendered cow fat. And I get my tallow specifically, there's a lot of nutrition around the kidney area. Mm-hmm. And that's where the majority of my tallow comes from. And I also make sure our tallow comes from grass-fed and grass-finished cows that are raised on organic farms, so that you really get a high vitamin A, D, E, and K content with that kind of diet. So what the suet is what we render, or what is rendered, and that's usually just thrown in the trash. And instead of
wasting,
instead of wasting, we take that and we turn it into something beautiful.
Yeah, and then you add
oh, there you go. Yes,
I'm like, then you add essential oils. This is my problem when still haven't bought anything, because I look at the website and add like 5 products to my cart, and then I go back and read what each essential oil does, and I'm like, which one? I don't know, because I had the peppermint, and I like the peppermint, but I also really love frankincense. That's like one of my favorite oils. And so then you have frankincense, but then you have one with 5 different frankincense. I'm like, how do I make a choice?
Yes, you just pick 5 and you alternate all 5. That's why.
Yes. One in the morning, one at night.
Yes, this is Tuesday tallow, Wednesday tallow.
Yes, that's what I need to do.
One for each day.
I love it.
Yes.
So how did you go about like developing the product? What made you start using it?
Well, I started making my tallow because I didn't have any money. And it's not that expensive of a product anyways. I bought Another Girl's, which I love, and I still recommend people to her when they don't, are sensitive to certain things in mine. But I was like, I gotta figure out how to save some money, so I started to make my own, and really fell in love with the product myself and shared it with some friends. And it was kind of like a pivotal moment. One night I was sitting on my couch and I got a little text from one of my friends. She's actually my midwife, and she said, when can I get some more tallow? Because I was just kind of giving it to her, because I would make like 5 jars at a time. And I was like, well, I'm not going to have enough money to buy supplies for another month. Go ahead and buy from this girl and I'll get you some. And she's like, no, I want yours. I don't want to use anything else. And I was like, she's willing to wait a month.
Wow.
Like, who waits a month for their moisturizer?
Yeah.
And so I was like, maybe this would be a cool way to be creative. And I love entrepreneurship, and I love business, and just working with the oils and trying to create new formulas. So I was like, maybe this will be a fun way to, meet our financial needs and be creative. And I love marketing, and it just kind of I took $50 and about 6 jars of tallow and opened up an Etsy shop, and it's just kind of taken off since there.
That is incredible. And you were also, it's not just you anymore. You also have like employees now.
Yes, ma'am. Now we have my wholesale manager. She's my best friend. She just went today, and we're getting to work together. It's like a dream come true. And we worked on an account today, so we got a wholesale manager, and I have another girl that she does the packaging for me and labels and puts that all together for me. And my sisters come over at night, usually once a week, every other week.
Because you got to work when, you put 5 kids to bed tonight.
Exactly.
I put 2, and I'm still like, oh my gosh, that's too much.
There's a lot of caffeine, a lot of jazz playing really loud. And yeah, they're the best, and we'll work the midnights, and my husband obviously is in there too. We kind of have a 4-person kind of thing go. We double up, and me and my sister are we're the loud and messy team, and they're the quiet, and like my husband and my other sister work in there, and they're like, y'all be quiet in there.
I love it. So I am sure that as your business is growing, there's growing pains, whether that be in your business or just life in general. So could you share with us some current struggles you have, whether that be with the business or personally as well?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I hate the word struggle. No one wants to share that, but I'm just going to lay it all out there. Yeah. I like the word tension a lot better, because I feel like struggle implies like a constant failure, which I do have one of those that I'm kind of failing at constantly. But I feel like our lives, if we're growing, there's going to be tension in some areas.
Tension's a good word.
I do. I've been drawn to that, and I feel like that implies that you might be failing, but there's some moving forward. There's some kind of growth, and you're not staying in the same place.
I like it. Maybe I'll be changing my question now.
No, but I think in the moment, one thing that I have struggled with has been trying to figure out how to eat and take care of myself and be healthy in the midst of being so busy and being stretched really thin, between so many areas. So I'm making headway. I usually eat really, really clean. And the busier that you get, the less likely, you go in spurts. So I'm trying to really be healthy and take care of myself and not forget about that. Because usually when you own your own business, everything the time you spent on yourself gets replaced with business stuff. Like I used to have this 2 hours away on Saturdays, but now I'm working and writing, or so it's just kind of shifting and figuring out how do I still take care of myself in the midst of that.
I am learning that lesson too. I actually have been really sick the past probably month now, but like the past 2 weeks have been the worst of it.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully it's better.
What was it?
They told me I had pneumonia, but I still don't feel like that's what it is. They didn't test me for it or anything. I feel like it's something else, but it's okay. I'm getting a second opinion because I've still just been feeling I've never felt like this knocked off my feet. And so I know whatever it is, coupled with, stress and decision making from business, life in general, definitely isn't helping. So
it affects your recovery for sure.
So yeah, I've just been like, okay, I have to rest as much as I need to do this. I've just been taking it a lot slower and not making so many decisions and action steps in one day. So it's frustrating.
I love that.
Because I feel like I need to be doing more.
Yes.
But at the same time, I can't. I just literally can't. I write one email and I'm like, okay, I need a nap.
Yes.
So yeah. It's so important.
You have to take care of your family and all that too.
And then I need to know how you run a business and have 5 kids.
All right. Well,
because I want 5 kids.
I'll tell you.
So
okay.
Kendall doesn't want 5 kids.
Well, I will say one thing that's really important is my oldest is 9. obviously number one is my husband is super involved. We have had this dream from the beginning that we wanted to raise our children together. That we didn't want our lives to be, you stay home with the kids and then I'll go to work 8 to 5. And that's been, as I'm sure you're very aware, it was taking a lot of risks and doing your own business and going without paychecks for sometimes 11 months at a time, just to really press into that dream that we had. And because we pressed into that, he's super involved throughout the day. He comes in and out and kind of weaves in and out. And so obviously that's the main thing. With being able to homeschool. I was
about to ask, do you homeschool too? I want to homeschool, I think. But I'm just like, how?
Yes.
But I think I just am still in toddler perspective and forget that
Absolutely.
Once we are there, they're going to be a lot different.
And somebody told me something, and it's really rang true. This is our 4th year to technically, quote unquote, homeschool. And someone told me it takes about 3 years, and I'm sure this isn't true for everybody, but it kind of seemed that way for me. It took about 3 years to get our stride, and I did cry a lot and have meltdowns and what's happening? And I just kept pressing through because we wanted to have that freedom in business, in school, just in every facet that we could. If we could have freedom, we wanted it, even though it costs a lot and it takes a lot more hard work, you know, and a lot of sacrifice to get there. But man, can I tell you, in our 4th year, my kids, my older 2 are in 3rd grade, and my younger 2 have watched the older 2 for the past 3 years. So they're starting technically kindergarten because they're 4 and 5. And then my older 2, 7 and 8, their maturity-wise, it just worked out, praise the Lord. So I technically only have 2 kind of grades right now. So it's worked out really great. But because the little ones have watched the older ones, and then that 3 years of just kind of being consistent, and then now it's I'm seeing the fruit, and they're, we've worked trying to teach them to help out around the house, and it's not a machine, that's not a good word for it, but it's
your stride.
We have this, and it's almost, I almost hate saying that because I'm oh my gosh, once you say
it, taking 3 steps back.
Yes, it's this impending sense of doom, what's going to happen? But right now, I'm going to soak it up because this season it's still a lot of work, but I'm not having the every week, oh my God, I got to get it. Yeah, I still need to get away and have time by myself, but I see a difference. The breakdowns and the hiding in the closet with the glass of wine and chocolate.
Yes.
They're becoming less and less, and my daughter's doing dishes over here while this son is reading over here. I'm this is what I read about 3 years ago, and I just forgot.
Yeah.
This is my dream because it's a lot of working, and it's a lot of faithfulness and every day. And it's surreal.
What has been one of your biggest accomplishments thus far with Flying Cow Tallow?
Well, probably being able to be in Elle magazine.
I know.
That's probably.
I feel like that's a big deal.
We were in Elle magazine in the UK. We talked about this. A guy contacted me. I thought he was trying to get me to wire him money. That it was some kind of fraudulent thing, and they have a sustainable beauty feature, and we got to be a part of it. And we're just coming to our 1-year anniversary in business.
Oh, awesome! We are too.
So,
when's yours?
No, wait, October 3rd.
Ours was supposed to be this weekend, actually. This was the goal, but we were in Hurricane Harvey last year, so we didn't get to launch then. And then I had planned October 3rd because my son's birthday's October 2nd. And I was that sounds perfect. We'll do it right after his birthday. And then I didn't have it all ready. So it ended up being the following week. So, yeah.
No way. So we started, my husband's birthday is October 3rd. I didn't really do that. I just accidentally kind of did that. Sorry, babe. I just kind of was.
You're like, it's easier to remember that date if it falls on your birthday.
Yes. Exactly. That's so crazy. Wow.
I'm pretty sure mine was October 12th.
Wow. We need to have a celebration.
Oh, ideas. We're giveaway. Yes.
Collaboration. Absolutely. We're just going to.
So being on Elle magazine, any other big things that have happened?
Well, I feel like it's an honor. I feel like it's an honor to be right here with you. Honestly, I'm I was so nervous, before, oh my gosh, I was looking at your Instagram and all the stuff that you do. I'm ooh, no.
Well,
but I'm oh my gosh, it's amazing stuff that you got going on. I'm you got a fan over here for sure. Yes, same here. Just a hard worker, right?
Just a dreamer and a doer in my own little world. Hopefully bigger as we grow, because I definitely have bigger dreams on the horizons for Salt and Light. So do you have any
so awesome
big dreams for Flying Cow Tallow?
I do. I'm working with a local artist right now. This is kind of one of my smaller dreams, but we're redoing all of our labels and stuff like that, and she's a watercolor artist. Ooh, so I'm really excited about that. Yes, and since I don't have any artistic ability in that area, I'm just going to live vicariously through all of those other artists. We have.
I know, year one. I feel like just getting year one under your belt. And I mean, for me, definitely tears and a little bit more anxiousness. So I've had to learn to just know when those feelings come up and how to deal with them, because that's not something I've always been familiar with.
Yes.
So I've definitely had to learn how to work through that. And then work through, when something works for me, it's working out or just moving my body. That's what calms me down. But then I've been sick, so I haven't been able to do that. And now I'm feel like I don't have that outlet. So I've had to, I think that's probably why I've been frustrated lately. So come on the podcast. It's a little mini therapy session for maybe you or me.
A little bit of both.
But
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just been lots of hard work. And so I think you might be one of the first people that have come on here also that is in business with their husband.
Oh, interesting.
What do you do to balance that work, marriage, parenting dynamic in that relationship? Because I feel like we definitely have our struggles of knowing how to know, hey, that happened in the business and that was something I did wrong in the business. You can't carry that over into marriage. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. It's kind of I feel whenever you get married and then you have kids, and kids kind of magnify everything that's awesome, and then everything that, those little cracks and crevices that you didn't think you have. And then you start this new layer with having a business together where that magnifies each other's strengths, but also magnifies each other's, those little cracks that the Lord wants to be let's just close that up. Did you know you had that? Did you know that you had that insecurity? No, you didn't. I'm going to show you that right now. Did you know you didn't trust your husband in that area? No, you didn't. I'm going to show you that right now. And
yes,
it's been, it's beautiful, and it's been an awesome thing for us to just kind of dive in together and be creative together. But it does come with, struggles of disagreements and how to handle that. And it's been interesting to say the least. But I feel like it's been, just looking back at this year, it's only made me love my husband more. And it's not been easy, and there have been beautiful moments, and there have been hard moments, but definitely for sure it's only made me fall in love with him more, and only established how much he loves me and believes in me through his actions, So
I like that.
And it's been a new level of communication. Like, whereas,
Yeah.
you know, I love, Melissa Helser. Have you ever heard of her?
Tell me what she does.
She said this last week. She's one of the podcasts I listened to, and she said, as you get older in marriage, you kind of feel like sometimes you should know each other's thoughts, and I shouldn't have to communicate this to you or that to you. And she said it's actually the opposite. As you get older, you have to tell each other more what you need, and I totally think that's true in business and in home life as well. You need to communicate more the longer you're married and not less.
Yeah, you think you know how to communicate with each other until you start a business.
Oh, God.
But it's just, you see different strengths and weaknesses and realize, like, oh, this is how you function. This is how you think. So at the same time, it's also been, like, healing and encouraging, because then you kind of see their perspective more. I don't know how to explain it, but I've just kind of learned how he thinks and how he immediately sees something.
Yes.
So now, like, if he reacts a certain way, I know it's not necessarily because he's, like, mad at me. It's just because he saw it this way. You know what I mean? And that's just how he thinks.
He processes things different as well.
And so I've seen that a lot more, I guess, just on the business side of things, because it's a daily hands-on practical thing that we have to do.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think my husband ever saw him in helping run a clothing boutique for women, but he's awesome.
That's what one of the moments he's like, I didn't think I was going to be making skincare for the rest of my life. Like, and I'm like,
does
I don't
he
know.
use it?
Oh, yes. No.
Come on.
Because he does. Well, I take that back. Because he doesn't use anything and he has perfect skin.
It's like all guys. I don't understand.
Yes. He uses it on my kids and he recommends it to everybody, but ask him to use any kind of product.
He's like, no, I'm good.
Yes. It's like, I just have naturally, and he does. He has naturally great skin.
Hopefully, yeah. My husband has really good skin too. Hopefully that means my kids get his skin and not mine.
Yes.
Because
yes.
My teenage acne was the worst.
Don't worry, I got you covered.
Yes,
I got the tallow.
Yes. And I do want to point out too, if anyone's like, why do I have such bad acne? Not just using natural skincare products, but your makeup. That was like a huge turning point in my skincare. I fought acne forever, and I would just use makeup to cover it up, and it would get worse. But I was too embarrassed to give up makeup. Let's see. Any advice for younger you?
I probably have to say something I'm actually telling myself already, like today, but I can see it would have been useful way back in the day, and that's just, that process you can see looking back, like, just be faithful. It's going to be okay. You're overwhelmed, but you're going to grow, and give yourself some grace, and things are going to work out. Just kind of like you go through those seasons of, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. Then you're like in the season of, okay, I got this. And then watch out, here comes another season. Like, and I've just seen that pattern. And in this last year, I've just kind of recognized it going over and over, and of kind of the stretching season. And then, maybe a restful and like, okay, I'm handling this and it's all right. And probably just give yourself a little grace to grow.
I like it.
And because I'm telling that myself now, like, and it's given me a lot of peace. Like, Brittany, you're growing. Give yourself a lot of grace. There's so much information out there. Whenever something else, I didn't make this up myself. I got this off my podcast by Melissa Helser last week. But there's just so much information out there. Whenever we fail, it's like there's such a shame, because I should have known that's out there, and just give ourselves some grace to kind of grow and to learn, and not have to know everything in the moment as we're experiencing it.
And not just that, like, feeling like we need to know everything holds us back from actually doing it. And really, it's a matter of doing it that brings the growth and the learning.
Ooh, I like that.
I mean, that's what I've learned.
Yeah, I've never thought about that, but that is so true. I could totally see that.
What is something you would say to someone who is just starting out doing their dream, or maybe they don't even feel like they know what they're doing yet, but they know there's something in there?
I would say probably just don't be afraid to fail. I mean, look at me, 5 horrible I mean, they weren't horrible. I pushed and pushed and worked. And in the end, I had to say, okay, this is going nowhere. I'm going to lay this down. And I worked just as hard on a different thing. And it's done very well, you know, still with a lot of hard work. But I could not be afraid. If I was afraid of failure and I looked back at all the things that have gone wrong or come to nothing, then I wouldn't have moved forward. But sometimes, whether you have a history or not, you have to just go for it and take the risk and just begin and learn as you go, because that's really where my education and a lot of people, you know, a lot of business owners, you learn as you go, and you make some small mistakes and some bigger, and you try to be as wise as you can and to learn, and mistakes are inevitable, you know, but to just go for it and just take the risk and don't let the fear of failure hold you back.
Have the failures been worth it?
Oh yeah, absolutely, because each one is like, it's kind of a weird thing, because I kind of treasure those failures now because they're things that I've learned in each one of those areas, and they've really created the success now, because, you know, I can take those and say, okay, I'm not going to do that again. That didn't work. Or, you know, I wasn't good at setting boundaries with this business. I'm going to be better at setting boundaries time-wise now, you know, so I don't make that, you know, same mistake. Or I'm going to value myself and ask people to pay me this certain amount of money because I know that I'm worth it. Whereas before, okay, I kind of didn't, you know, ask for that much money because I felt bad, you know, and now I'm like, you know what, I'm worth it. My time is worth it. And so I value those failures very much because they've taught me what I know today, you know?
Yeah, I like that. And as far as pricing, if you're listening to this and you're trying to figure out how to price a product, don't undercut yourself, because you will burn yourself out so fast. And if you're really in this to be a business, you can't make it a hobby.
Absolutely.
And so setting your prices low, make it a hobby. And it's just not sustainable long term. I've also learned that lesson more in my photography than products of just being like, I don't, that's fine. You know, like just not setting a price. And I still struggle with that. But I've had to learn, like, it's just
business.
I have to figure out how much time goes into it and all that. So, and then if you don't have a product or price and you know friends that do, don't give them a hard time about their prices.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, it is what it is, and cheer them on in other ways if you can't necessarily buy their product. That's just something I want my people to know, even if you can't buy them, like, share my post, like comment, those things equally help. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
My little soapbox.
I'm with you, girl. You have to know your worth.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's such a hard lesson. I don't know why it's so hard for women to learn it and stick to it versus guys. Like, my husband would have no problem, like, saying it's this much money and not think twice. And I'm just like, how is that so easy
and
for you?
Like, we're stealing, and there's that mentality. I don't know what it is either.
I gotta figure that out. We need a podcast about that. Who is someone inspiring you now?
There's not just one. Gosh, there's so many people. Of course, my family directly are the ones that are inspiring me on a daily basis, like in the real, you know, face-to-face kind of things. My kids, my husband, my family, those people. Yes, my sisters, my mom, they're inspiring me every day. And then there's people, Sally Clarkson, Christine Kane, John Paul Jackson, Chris Valentin, Stephanie Gretzinger, like all the fancy people but have like great wisdom to share. I try to really spread the net and have a good diverse people to draw from, you know?
Yeah, I feel like that's a good point. I listen to a lot of different things, and as you're learning and growing a business and just personally, like, especially moms or business owners, students, just listen to all the things that you can.
Lots of different people, lots of different areas, different, for sure.
Pull from all those things. They'll inspire you.
Absolutely.
And then this is a question I always ask everyone because I like to know, and my listeners do as well. What are 3 current things you're enjoying right now?
Well, obviously something with food. Of course, that's it first.
Yes.
I have been having this afternoon daily routine of having coffee with this so delicious whipped cream that my friend just introduced me to. It's like this coconut whipped cream with just a 90% chocolate bar and some coffee, and that's like been my afternoon kind of routine.
I think I might have to.
So delicious. It's in your freezer section.
I mean, I have So Delicious yogurt right now, but I've been kind of scared to try it. But
who knows? Just put some of that whipped cream on it. It'll be great.
Hopefully it's good. Yes.
And
what else?
I've been loving this school rhythm we're getting back into. I was kind of dreading it, but we've been kind of back into it for about a month and a half, and I love the rhythm of school and everybody having their things to do every day. And I'm sure in a couple months I'll be ready for a holiday, ready to do nothing, but I've just really been enjoying the rhythm. And have you ever heard of the 5-second journal?
Is that like the one where you just write something every day?
It really breaks down. It's like really fast. It's like, well, it's not really fast, but it's just called the 5-second journal. It's hard to kind of explain it. So you just Google it. And a friend recommended it to me, and it's been really great to kind of, when I can't do it every day, because I'm not that kind of person to do something journally every day. But I do it like once or twice a week, and it really helps me organize and kind of see what I need to get done and, and stuff like that. So those are probably some chocolate whipped cream and our school days. And
I mean, you can never go wrong with chocolate. So
good old 90% chocolate bar.
Okay, last question. What is something unique about you that you bring to the table?
Okay, well, I think one of the things that we bring, like as a business, and it's kind of part of my personality to the table, is we love to promote other people, much like yourself. I love finding artists. We feature artists on our Instagram account, and I support them. I give them product, and we just promote them for free. And we also pay them to create the art that they create. We don't expect them to create anything for free. So if you're listening and you're an artist, we might feature you. If you're interested, message us. And we love, I've featured just local businesses and women, and I just have such a love of this non-competitive community kind of spirit. I don't really know how to put a better word to it, probably.
Like community over competition.
Yes, that's much better. Yeah. Much better, but I just love...
that's one of our core values at Salt and Light Trading Company.
There you go. I love that.
Why? Like, we all have the same goals. And we can rally around each other and support each other to get there. Like, I don't do drama. I don't know if you do Enneagram, but I'm Enneagram 7.
Oh my gosh. I was going to talk about the Enneagram, but I was like, man, I'm not going to talk about the Enneagram.
I hate conflict. I hate when people are like mad at each other. Like, I can't do it. I hate confrontation, all of it.
I have a funny Enneagram story. Well, I can't remember what the number is. I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the helper. That's so me. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
And so my best friend, we've been best friends for now 15 years. And so I was reading her off the list, like, so what are you? We're going to find out what you are. I'm going to read off the list. And if you think this is you, you tell me. And so I read off this list and she goes, oh, Brittany, that's so you. I'm like, what? Perfectionist? That is not me. I was so offended. I was like, you know how you don't want to listen to the people that are closest to you, but from then on, I had like this awakening through like just my everyday life. Like, she's right. I thought I was so laid back.
I think that's a 1.
Is it the 1?
I can't remember.
The perfectionist.
Yeah. I did that. I was telling you, my friend that I do photography with, we did our last wedding together and literally stayed up till like 2 or 3 in the morning reading all the Enneagram numbers. Like, I know you're supposed to read the books and like that sort of thing to figure it out. But I was like, we were reading all the in-depth ones. And I think we like went 1 through 9. She's still like, I don't know what I am. I'm going to go to a conference to figure it out. Because I don't know.
Wait, do you take the online test? There's like the Enneagram Institute.
I did, but they say like you can't rely on that either. This is why my husband doesn't like it. He's like, it's too complicated. I just want to like take the test. You tell me what I am. It is what it is. And I'm like, but it's more than like your personality. It's like what motivates you and what your fears are, that sort of thing. And so I originally took it and it said 2, and people were like, oh yeah, that's you. And I was like, okay. I mean, I love helping people and I love serving people, but it's also one of those things that I kind of have to force myself to. Like, if someone's like, hey, who wants to help me with the dishes? I'm like, oh, I think I have to go to the bathroom.
It's not
like,
me.
It's just not me. I don't do it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, is there like, can I, or I like even going on mission trips and they're like, we really need someone to be on the dishes team that washes the dishes after dinner. And I was like, oh, I think like they want me to go talk to them. I was like, whatever was the social thing.
I'm gonna go with Angela.
So yeah, definitely not a 2.
That is hilarious.
Not a natural server.
Wow,
for sure.
I would not guess that.
I'm like, I love people and I love to help people, but that's just something that's I don't know, I've learned.
You just do it out of love.
But it's not natural. Yeah.
Yes. It's not natural in my kids either. So I don't know if is that a natural born. I mean, there are naturally born helpers. Like my mom, she is like, they'll help to their detriment.
I know some, and I'm like, that's not me.
Yes.
I know those people and they're like always on it. Like they can almost supernaturally see the need kind of thing before you even know it's there.
Sense it,
And then I think like 2s, their weakness is they essentially don't save a seat at the table for themselves. And so they're like always helping everyone else and like not focusing on them. And I'm like, oh, I'm pretty selfish. Like I would do something for myself.
Make sure.
Before someone else. My weakness. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun to research them, especially like with the business side of things.
Interesting. And I should make my employees. I'm going to make my employees take it. Good team building exercise.
I love it. Yes. I don't think you finished telling us how many employees you had.
There's 4.
The wholesale.
There's the wholesale manager. It's my best friend, and she handles. We just kind of keep our wholesale accounts small for now. Not so much like big wholesale, but we're just doing boutiques and stuff. And then I have another girl, Erica. She's awesome. She does all my labeling and like product packaging.
And then your sisters, right?
Yes. And then my sisters.
So do you have 2 sisters?
Yes. I have an older sister and I have a younger sister.
Brittany, thank you so much for joining me today on the Dreamer and Doer podcast. It was such a joy to have you, and it was so fun. I hope you enjoyed it too.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor. I've had a blast. My cheeks are sore from smiling so much.
Oh, good. That makes me happy. Before you go, though, tell my listeners where they can find you on social media.
Yes, you can find us on Instagram at Flying Cow Tallow. We're on Facebook, or our website has a lot of cool information. Just www.flyingcowtallow.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll chat again soon. I think you'll be a repeat.
Absolutely. I look forward to coming back.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Brianne.